Okay, might as well kind of start early. This is the first time I've ever early. Extra early this time, believe it or not. Okay, I just fixed a thing where I actually had a space in the file name, which is perfectly legal here in Linux Mint, and probably in Windows too, probably in most modern operating systems. But to keep everything consistent, I put an underscore and I updated everything so it looks right. Okay, let's actually, I don't want necessarily need to close it, but let's minimize that. Okay, now I still have, was it 5 pages to do to finish chapter 12? And then we got to chapter 13. Okay. Hmm. 90. I still need to do, let's see, today is Thursday. I still need to do, let's see, I still need to do 30 a day. In other words, I need to finish 30 pages today, finish 30 pages tomorrow, and finish 30 pages on Saturday. It's not happening probably, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. So I guess let's just dive in. Okay, I got everything set up here. Oh, that's right. I didn't set up things here, but here, let's go to narrative pages, and let's go ahead and pull up. What are we looking at? Looking for Sound of Thunder. So these are the latest, chapter ones here. It's kind of too bad because most all of the chapter lines fell on the sort of the five grouping like boundary, and now they're always the third one in the block. Not it doesn't really matter that much. This is just for me for counting, but there you go. Open text editor. All right, let's get to it. At Sound of Thunder, the gnomes promptly put John, Roland, and the dwarves to work in the mines. Roland and John start whispering to the nearby dwarves to get ready. After a time, everyone in the mines get the idea and wait. There sound like a loud crack of thunder somewhere in the mines. Okay, first. Okay. It says they promptly. I'm gonna say maybe. Uh, see, they go back in the mines. I'm gonna assume that Max is not here. He might be here, and if he is, I'll have to fix that little issue. I think. Okay. Barty. Is Barty there? Barty might be there. All right. I wasn't gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Just because it's gonna take me forever to look through. Uh, Thursday, August 20th, 2026. I'm looking a Sound of Thunder. Could you tell me, based on my narrative pages, whether or not Max and or Barty of the gnomes. And number one henchman. Are there at Max's mines in the Gnome Kingdom? So we're gonna. Sometimes I think it's quicker if I did it myself, but it kind of wouldn't because I'd have to go through each and every thing, and the computer should be able to do it faster. Shown on the site. Characters assume he runs things. Max is never in the room or described as present. Um, I should say, are they anywhere else that precludes them from being at the lines at excellence? Should ask. Should ask, not say, ask. If he's still out, he could still be at the Omni Gate. He could still be at the castle. He might not be, but he could still be. Nothing in the narrative locks them somewhere else, so they can't be at the mines. Flying to the castle. Karen and Count Bats. Black Knight near Lapswood sees a flying unicorn rolling in John Mines. Split for the heroes, not placement of next already. Last strong on page beat before this arc, fire up at the castle. Shove only assumes the office is his. The raid never finds him there. He could have gone back to the mines, stayed at the castle, or be elsewhere. Nothing precludes mines. Puts him at the castle fair or anywhere else during the breakout. He's simply absent from these pages, not ruled out of the mine, not ruled out of the mines, not confirmed there either. Yes, I'm just wondering if gnomes put Roland and John work, or if Barty was there, maybe, or even Max was there, they could bring them in front of Max or Barty to tell them what to do. Okay, this is not getting me done, is it? I know. I know that. I know it's the gnomes are there, but I'm just saying. Okay. Mm-mm. Party in person. Okay. Out of curiosity, based on what exists, um, let's see. Let me ask this right. There enough story or whatever to justify allowing you to play from the villain's perspective, or do they still just seem like cutscene material? Nobody's playing anybody right now in phase one. When I get to the actual player characters and stuff, which is a little later. More than cutscene villains, especially Max Zanzibar and Red, but phase one still treats them as interlead POV chapters, not at full play as the bad guys mode. Party Violet. Based on idea, yes, just villain chapters have goals, branches, comedy, and stakes. Longer back logistics and failure states. They don't only feel like guest star campaigns inside a hero story. Um, well, well, right now there aren't any player characters, just interactive narrative. But later on, when I start introducing the player characters, you'll get to control John, halfway, and the princess, at least. Um, and I was always thinking of maybe possibly allowing you to play out the villains' story arcs. I know I set up their outlines to have their motivations, but still determining how many people you get to control in the in-game, or when I start getting PCs. Okay, and obviously I wasted some time, which I always seem to do. I need to get down to writing and forget about the rest of this nonsense, and then when I get to it, then decide. It's just I don't want to end up shoehorning in the villain's POV when it seems good enough as it is. In other words, I don't want it to feel like like you want to get through the villain parts because the villain parts are more or less cutscenes. Not that I can't make them interactive, but if I make something boring interactive or they're not doing much, then it's boring. So there's no real purpose for seeing them, from their perspective, unless they get to do stuff. As a core trio is a clean end game set. Yeah. That's enough for party fantasy without needing everyone. Yeah, well, the thing is they all have their own stories. The Count's a little bit thin, but Sir William has a good story, and Roland has a pretty good story in the sense that trying to find his dad. Yeah. Yeah, well, the thought is still there. Being able to play Roland and Sir William and Count as well, and Chester, where all their stories happen to converge. If I keep them as self-contained chapters, some chapters you'll get some groupings versus other groupings in other chapters. They'll, the whole business might be a bad idea. I don't know. I did like um, playing out the three main characters in Day of the Tentacle. So I don't know if adding more just muddies it, or would it be like a good in-depth book, like Lord of the Rings or whatever. To follow each of them on their paths. Game design, I guess. Because, okay, so, yeah. Good deal is the 10th Kingdom, the NBC miniseries, fantasy miniseries by Hallmark Entertainment or Halmy or whatever. You're torn between two good models that solve different problems. However, the three are switch characters, combine items, shared deep on small cast. Every chapter still the party, adding rolling. Does money? Game's clarity comes from only three. Mm-hmm. Not 8 portraits on the screen. Well, it's not 8 portraits on screen at once. It still isn't. Uh, Character leads, convergence. Um, Idea isn't bad. It's two systems. Keep it. Also like the NBC series, the 10th Kingdom. They each had different characters that at times they switched between. I have practical story groupings, which means you're not going to have 14 different portraits on at the same time. Villain sections will only have the groupings that are involved. Same with the heroes. John and Cerulia might end up doing some things before getting into Enchanted Lands. For instance, in the full game, he's going to stay on Earth until he manages to read the Unicorn Sign Language book. Halfway is on his own at the very beginning, and then him and John get together, then split up for the investigation, then come back together and rescue the princess, who has her own problems. And then when they rescue her, it's all three together. And then when Sir William is stuck out in Lapswood, then all four of them get together. See what I mean? So it's not that I'm gonna have every character on at the same time that you can switch between. It's gonna be groups. Though you'll be able to switch groups at any time, no matter how they're grouped up. I don't think there's ever a time when they're all completely split up. Yeah, initially when the other ones are split up into singles, they're split up into singles too. Um, so So yeah, so and keeping with the chapters theme, the like a book, kind of keeps it sectioned so that I don't have to. That's clear. It's a coherent model, which you described. 14 portraits always on. It's a roster that grows and splits with the story, like the 10th Kingdom miniseries. I play alone, then plus John after Cerulia split, rescue Lapswood William for elsewhere. Roland and John in the mines, halfway in William in the castle, villains in their own pods. Villain chapters, only Max's men, Zanzibar alone, or Max plus Red, never the whole cast. Practical groupings, natural party limits, not UI chaos, switching happens when the plot already cuts between them. Miniseries grammar, depth of many characters without dots, always three fixed, where Lord of the Rings managed the Fellowship as inventory. Not just Phase 1's pearls, you're already writing that structure. Versus Tentacle, fixed puzzle trio, bottom line. Even Lord of the Rings start with Sam, or with Gandalf, Sam, and Frodo. And Gandalf leaves, and Sam and Frodo take off. Then Merry and Pippin join them. Then, when the Urukai, I don't remember if that's how that's spelled, or however it's spelled. Come in for Boromir guys. Merry and Pippin get captured. Sam and Frodo take off for Mount Doom. Aragorn come on. Gimli the dwarf and Orlando Bloom's character they up. Why can't I think of that? Why doesn't that work? Why does my brain not want to pull that up? Legolas. Okay, there we go. And Gimli go after and Pippin. And then you have other various characters with their reasons. So it seems to work. Okay. So even that, they join, they split off, they join back together, they switch. Exactly, and that's the proof the model works. Fellowship doesn't stay 8 portraits forever. It starts small, grows, then fractures and pods with clear jobs. Same grammar as what you're building, so you're not embedding something risky. You're using an ensemble adventure structure. Yeah. I can also, like I said, further insulate it so that even though princess, the princess has her own story, getting kidnapped, trying to escape, then rescued, Roland searching for his dad. I don't have to introduce those characters. Well, princess, obviously. Until I get to the chapters that concern them. I can still play with it a bit. You might play Roland a little bit before he tries to go back to Oryx Paradox. But it's not necessarily at the very beginning of the story. So you're not gonna always. It's not gonna be like straight. Like you're gonna introduce all these different characters. Uh, you might introduce Roland later, right? Right now he's introduced in really just in chapter 11, and that's not even until half of the story has gone by. But um, I can introduce him earlier and have you help him on his search to find his dad. Now, obviously, there's a beeline, so dealing with Roland in his search is fruitless until he decides to go back. You know. Also, I may need to introduce all the characters early. If they start, I only introduce John at halfway, but I can insert some early chapters that introduce these other characters and then just leave them until needed after introduction. So clearly going to have to add some stuff, but I'm hoping it won't feel forced, but actually feel natural because I had originally intended it to be. Okie dokie. Okie. But you only want one. I'd never see you if I had no loot. Paying my own bills, and I never did depend on you. You call me your friends, but you only want what is a magnet. See it if I had no loot. That's a solid pattern. Soft intro early, deep play later, and it won't feel forced. if each beat has its own job, not meet cute for the roster. Um, will be some setup. This happens when halfway brings in. Sir William is searching for the witch that cursed him. Etc. Exactly. That's the natural vision of introduce early than shell. World's already in motion, investigating. Karen already on her way, about to speak, about to be taken, and Roland already searching for Dad, circling Ulrich's paradox. Count already failing at the motel. Available when needed. You're not very busy work intros, you're cutting the parallel labs at the moment. The Count is searching for a mate. Now, it resolves when Karen rescues the rest of the tourists and finds the mate for the Count. I'll have to be a little careful because it's got to flow naturally and shouldn't probably just be busy work. It should somehow contribute to the main storyline. But I'll have to figure that out when I get to it. And I know I did it again, so um, I still have some time left in the session. I'll get some pages done for sure. I might even get chapter 12 done still, but I know this took away some time, so now I even further won't get. The reason I wanted to get done by my birthday is because next week Dad has an appointment, and I was gonna go ahead and take the week off and do some stuff like cleaning and fixing up, home maintenance stuff and whatever I needed to do here. I'm almost planning a possible like a full month long, like I sort of did when I finished the event phase, kind of sort of like that. I probably still have I still do some work. Like I wouldn't stop doing work on it because it's still a lot of work to do. But I wouldn't have like a regular time that I got on to stream or to deb, and a certain amount of hours and stuff. It would just be kind of on and off when I could do it, that sort of thing. Okay, cut what the mate. I saw character card. Telling it to Karen bring tourists can work if the mate isn't a random prize, but someone the rescuer already had to free. Got the romance. Does rescue still matter for? Um, you can search the docs. Basically, the woman Karen finds was actually a tourist, and a real princess from her realm. I think I called it Alazar because its primary color is red. And she also happens to be a vampire princess. So I could totally remove that subplot and the story would still work. But it also adds a bit to it. Part of the motivation was that they weren't just random NPCs, but actually had a backstory and a reason for entering the story. The Count finding a mate is actually the subplot. Main plot is helping halfway. Princess and helping her infiltrate very bad college. So I mean, I got some of this kind of sewed up like properly. I mean, it probably properly works because that's how I thought of the whole thing. So I thought, okay, if I'm gonna have this character in here, it's got to contribute to the main plot, but it's also got to have its own subplot. Princess Zora Felice, vampire princess from Alazar. Let's say, also say Alazar is the Count's home realm. Appears among the rescued vacation princesses. Karen introduces her to the Count. Count's deal helped Karen with missing princesses, helped him find a mate, handbag, bad payoff. He didn't need a separate quest. She was already in the rescue. Even frets that find a mate, repopulate vampires was thin and might change, but Zora Alazar is still the written ending. Help halfway, find Princess Infiltrate, free the Count subplot, mate, not die lonely rides that rescue Zora. Not a random NPC tourist plus real princess reasons she's in the story. You could cut the romance and the FGC rescue still stands. Keeping it adds character payoff. It makes accounts help feel earned. As long as Zora stays a consequence of the rescue, not a fetch quest objective. No need to solve more now. You got spine when you get you've got the spine when you get to that chapter. Yeah, so the count is always searching. So his searches may not be that fruitful. Which is the case here. Unless I somehow engage Zora as later on. I may make it more embedded, like he's trying to find her for some reason. Maybe she was missing and he keeps tabs on Alazar. And maybe she was missing and he keeps tabs on Alazar and is searching for her. Maybe she's an old girlfriend. And then when he finally finds out she was part of the princess capture plot, he offers to help Karen himself. It kind of depends on how far I get and how things work out. Okay. Why am I not working on the thing? Because I want to get it done. Why am I not getting it done? That flexibility is fine. You don't have to lock Count and Zora down. Current works. He's always hunting for mate. Searches are mostly fruitless. Payoff is accidental earned when Karen frees the vacation princess and Zora's among them. Later embed options. If you want more spying, Old Flame promise from Alazar. He's been watching Alazar news. She went missing. He learns she's in the capture net. He volunteers to help. Same mission as main. Fruitless searching until he still plays his comedy. Stronger backstory. Also, I can integrate Zora more into the plot. Maybe she can contact the Count to tell him what's going on from the inside. That sort of thing. I'll have to rework stuff, though, if I do that. That could work well, and you're right. It would mean rework, not a one-line patch. If Zora contacts the Count from the inside, pros mate subplot intel subplot Count's help feels load bearing. She's an active character, not only a reward at home stretch. Needs rethinking when and how she reaches him. Magic mirror and bat message, smuggled note, well captured. But she knows that Karen halfway don't already get from other paths. Simon versus handbag meet at the end. Why she contacts him specifically. Alexander Old Flame helps a lot here. Lighter in bed, less rework, keep the rescue the main path, add one inside tip from Zora to Count mid-arc, then still meet face-to-face after but free, same payout, less restructuring. If you're in bed, she's the Count's reason to join Karen from the start, closer to your old girlfriend missing from Malzar idea and bigger rewrite of his deal, and maybe FGC, very good direction if you want per plot relevant. Don't force it until you're in that chapter for the search. So all of this moot if I don't get phase 1 done here soon. I should get back to work writing the creative pages. Like I said, I might take like a whole month off. It'll be kind of like a working. In other words, I won't stop working on it, but I won't be setting a whole bunch of time aside for it. I'll just be doing like whenever I have free time. I'll you know Maybe I'll do a stream. Maybe I won't because when I get to phase two, I'm thinking about redoing the stream thing. From everything that I keep looking at now, now a lot of it's just mostly AI, but you find this in searches too when you do searches. But they say that the thing that gets people watching are the videos, it's not the streams. The streams don't really do that. I mean, if you're a gameplay stream, a tournament player or whatever, or just a plain, multiplayer game, online game, uh, streamer, then those have their own audience and it's just a thing, right? As far as game dev goes, um, or art, doing art or whatever, that doesn't get as much play. So the consensus is that instead of focusing on the streams, you focus on the you focus on the videos that get people to watch the streams, and then to promote your streams you do stuff like shorts and whatever. But you still have to, there's a thing with writing a video. You don't always need a script, but you start with an idea and a script, and then you go out and you film it, or maybe you talk, or maybe you show working through a tutorial because you're making a tutorial for something. Um, and how do I say it? With streaming, you gotta have like a feature hook for your stream, or else people don't really care. They watch you writing. I'm sure I don't get hardly anybody coming in here, not just because I'm talking and spending the time talking instead of working on the game, but when I'm working on my game, the reason I don't get viewers is because they'll see it, they'll see me typing, and then I'll be typing for the whole hour. I'll be talking to the AI for the hour or whatever, and then they kind of go, "Well, that's not very interesting. It's not showing me anything new." So, if I'm doing a traditional action game, arcade game, or console based, whatever, bonus if it's like 3D, but even if it's 2D and stuff, I have certain features of the game that aren't tied to the story, right? This is a story based game, so story is the important part here. In an arcade or action, action like a platformer or a first person shooter or whatever, you have features. You have, okay, so now I got this gun working. Now I got this AI tactic working. Now, I modeled this castle, or I modeled this, space station, and now I have to add in the enemies, right? I have to add in the aliens or something, uh, that sort of thing where um, you're not focusing on the story so much. I mean, you do talk about the story, but your stream is focused on the mechanics, gameplay mechanics, the programming, maybe even developing art, because art can bring people in, especially if you're good. Now, art works best as a time lapse rather than in real time, because real time it takes a long time to make pictures and things. But yeah, so I'm really kind of doing this kind of uphill thing with my stuff here. Anyways, um, let's something here. Do I want to ask Grok? Do I want to? I guess I'll go ahead and do Grok, or do I want to just do Gemini? Dishwasher. That's not it. Are there ever any streamers that are successful that focus on their story? In my case, it's a game, but in other cases, it can be a screenplay or novel. Or what else? Or other story-based content. I find that game playing gamer streamers tend to do well because people like watching them play. But you never hear about a guy working on a screenplay and streaming his building of the screenplay. If it's a game people like watching you code or make artwork for, but or even non-programming content creation, like building levels. But you never hear someone say they want to watch this streamer whose game has a really cool story, and this developer game is already really close. Is sharing his brainstorming process with you. Streaming pure rare, writing streaming or lower brainstorming is rare and harder to scale than coding or ice streams, but it does exist in specific niches. Main friction is the format itself. Watching code, compile, or pixel art take shape provides immediate visual payoff, whereas reading text on screen creates dead air if the creator is silent. I'm not silent at all. You can tell this if you ever watch any of my streams. If you're in here right now watching or listening, you know I don't shut up. Occasionally, my voice will go down a little bit. And I'll just be sort of like rattling stuff off. I almost have talking to myself. I do that occasionally. I don't do it all the time, but most of the time I talk a lot. When story-focused creators succeed on stream, they treat the stream like a writer's room, an interactive tabletop campaign or an analytical workshop rather than a silent typing session. Writer's room dynamics. Successful writing streamers are often found in Twitch's creative writing writers or game development categories. Don't just type quietly, they talk out loud about narrative dilemmas. If the protagonist chooses this route, it breaks the motive. I said 2 scenes ago. How do we solve this? Chat becomes this co-writer. Yeah, well, I do all of that, and people don't want to watch it, and it's not even because my story's not that good. In fact, I've had a couple of people come in here and say, "This is a really cool story," and they stay for a little while, then they get bored and they leave, and it's fine. But it's not because my story is uninteresting or I don't talk. So speculative fiction, narrative already well, mapping relationship webs, timeline branching, live table reads, co-working streams, body doubling. Why narrative game streams can work better than novel streams. Game writing is a distinct advantage of pure screenwriting in novels because narrative games tied to mechanics and structure. I don't have that much mechanics and structure in the sense. Um, Visual mapping tools. Okay, that's probably a big deal. Okay, internal monologue. Okay. So I tend, I'm not writing, and I'm not working on my game like I should be. You know what? I'll come back to this later. In fact, maybe I'll come back to this offline instead of online because I'm supposed to be working right now. So let's see if we can at least get to one page done. At least that, right? At least that. I only have 30 minutes now. Okay. Um, Surprisingly strong for their small bodies. The gnomes, Eve, John, and even Roland onto their feet. The gnomes heaved, heaved, is heaved past tense of Eve. No, heave tries a lip to throw a heavy object or tossed. Heave is the correct past tense. Two accepted forms with simple past tense than the past participle heaved. More common form of modern general English used for every actions, lifting, pulling, throwing something with effort. Hove. This form is considered he hove. Heave to. The ship hove into view. The anchor was hove. Heaved. Heaved. Uh, Gnomes heaved John and Roland onto their feet. Uh, as well as the other dwarves. They retied dwarves' bindings and bound Roland and John as well, and marched them to the edge of the first level where they could see level 2. You see the smelting of level 2. Barty, king of the gnomes, was there yelling at some poor mine worker. Sir, just your majesty. What? Majesty? How come that looks wrong? I know dwarves is technically wrong. It's just this is the way I'm spelling it, so I'm keeping it consistent. This is the way I like to spell it. Okay. Your Majesty. these two the gnome that was speaking. No. Said the gnome. Said a gnome, clearly an overseer. Were caught trying to rescue a dwarven castle, just as Max predicted. Ah, yes. A thorn in our sides, and now a what do you call it when you call it when let's see, what do you call it? um a trap triggers. Now they've sprung a trap. Sprung a trap, something. Oh, darn it. Go to the stupid spring in the trap. Now they've walked into our trap. Okay. You guys won't give us trouble after a few days of working the mines. Take them away. The gnome overseer marched them down to level 2. The overseer ordered some gnome guards to take a few of the dwarves over to loading, and then marched the remaining dwarves along with John and Roland to level 2 and set a few dwarves to smelting processes. Finally arriving at the 3rd level where John and Roland came in. Let's see. John and Roland started whispering to the dwarves near them to get ready. And then the overseer marched their remaining dwarves along with John and Roland to level 2. The remaining dwarves along with John and Roland to level 2, where John and Roland nodded to the rest of them. Gnome Overseer didn't see it. Except Peter's finally arrived on the 3rd level where John and Roland came in at. You two go over there to get their equipment, and then have this one pointing to one of the Urban Council. Get you up to speed. The commanded the overseer. They both followed the dwarf and started whispering to everyone within earshot to get ready. And that's all they said. So Roland and John went over to get rigged, and then as they were following the dwarf, they kept saying to get ready to whomever would listen. As they're working, picking at rock, loading carts, loading carts. what was I gonna say here? Let me think for a sec. On, oh, on, rolling. Right. Uh, look, the other doors across the mines, and get a nod back. Suddenly, there was a loud crack of thunder, as if the sky was opening right above them, and it reverberated all through the mines. Like thunder all through the mines. Okay, at least I got um was gonna put something else here, but I can't place it now. I can't do it in my brain. Um, Sky's opening right above it, and right all through the mines. Okay, I guess I'll just leave it like that until something pops out. Did I put first? Right? Yells signal doors, Roland stab breaks them chains, and yells his signal. John runs up. Join the signal first. Well, they have got a signal though, don't they? Okay. I'm gonna put this in here. John also knows a signal. And then runs up to level 1. John grabs John grabs the gnome overseer and takes his keys. He runs down to the other levels, unlocking shackles and chains of every slave. Unlocking every slave he can find. There we go. We're gonna do this, and let's see something here. Okay, John yells a signal. He runs up to level 1, grabs. Roland then also yells a signal. The doors on level 3 overpower their gnome masters. Roland dad breaks his own chains. Okay, actually that works. Control tab. After the light crack, Roland's dad breaks his own chains, and he yells a signal. Next, Roland yells his signal. The doors up on level 3. John yells his signal. Runs to level 1, grabbing the overseer. Huh. Um, does Roland, John, and Roland's dad when they seem consistent, we agree. I should have said the pages, but hopefully it'll just be able to determine it here real quick. One failed. Why would one fail? What did it read? That's weird. Very weird. Mostly, yeah, same jobs for each person, only who goes first changes. Still original stubs, no full pros yet. Roland yells the signal L3, dwarves overpower no masters. Roland's dad breaks his own chains, yells the signal in some orders. John runs to L1, grabs the overseer, takes keys, runs down, unlocking slaves. All 3 converge to live day good. Order differences intentional. Roland L3 delivers dad breaks, signals. John signals L1 keys. John L2 keys first. Roland signals L3 dwarves. Dad breaks signals giant problem. Dad breaks signals dad signal. And the giant problem he signals when he breaks free, and the others he breaks free and signals sometimes after rolling. Find a signal, shout that he's free, joins the rising. John signal, explicit yell. Giant problem he says he runs for the overseer. Armless, and for some reason I left out level 2, which one should do as well. think I need to reconfigure it so that John goes for level 1 and Roland is at level 2, and then Roland's dad is already on the floor, so he can take care of 3. Two. That's what matches the jump geography much better. Overseer keys unlock clear hub, Roland 2 processing signal, lead, revolt among molds, crucibles, crews, dwarves, and slaves there. Dad, main floor, he's already there. Break free, signal. Right now, Roland is tied to level 3 dwarves, and Dad is also on level 3 redundant, putting Roland on level 2. After capture, they were put to work. Assign them in the Sound of Thunder setup. John, somewhere he can bolt to level 1, already set up with the hub slaves. And really, I just need to change the level number text, I think. All right. Roads on level 2 overpower their gnome masters. Roland Dad breaks his own chains. Heals the signal. Roland's dad breaks his own chains. Heals signal. And the gnomes on level 3, the slaves on level 3, I'll start to overpower the overseers. Okay. That. Okay. So then they're overseers. Be that. Signal. The slaves level 3 start to overpower. I'll start to overpower. Yes, this is power their masters. We'll say masters like this, and then masters. Check the 3 pages now and tell me if that looks a little better. We're going to presume that Roland and John are both on level 2. We'll say that. I mean, looks better. Floors now line up. Dad, break chain signal, saves rights. Always unlocks as he goes. Not missing anymore, and Dad owns the main floor while it's busted. It sparks the first changes. Jobs stay consistent. Tiny leftover nits. The signal. Rolling page. Shoot, break time. John also yells a signal. And then runs up to level 1. John grabs the gnome overseer and takes his keys. John Page, he runs down to the other levels before letting that fully go. Find at parallel. John is parallel chaos. When you write roll pros, each line on Sound of Thunder, placing them on 2, able to reach 1. Dad on 3 will sell it. Level split is fixed and clearer than before, ready to flush out. Okay, have to do that later as it's now break time. I'll do you in an hour. Okay. Thank you for watching part 1.